All right. Welcome, everyone. I am Randy Harris and actually was recently appointed as president of our organization. Mark Taylor served as president since we began our organization, which I believe was about 2.5 years ago. And so we are still growing and organizing. We welcome all of you that are joined, and I want you to be aware that we do this online gathering twice a year. That's our goal, to include everyone and everyone to see presentations and some small talks and updates and plans. So be aware that each January and then June or July, we will have a online meeting like this, and we'll send out the information for those of you that have signed up on the website. If you haven't signed up, please go ahead and do that. Uh, does everyone get this information because you were on the mailing list? Is there anyone here that heard about this that hasn't signed up already? Um, Hopefully you're all signed up on the website where we update. Now, we're ask you to mute your mics during the presentations just to help reduce any interruption. And our first presentation will be from Suzanne Adams, and she is in charge of our controlled edit tree project on family search. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what you're referring to for those that have never heard of that before.
I'm happy to. I am going to pull up just a quick little PowerPoint that actually Mark's been talking a lot about controlled edit tree in a lot of different places. I modified it for a little bit for our meeting. Can you see my screen? Are you able to see my
Yes.
screen? Okay, perfect. So, like Randy said, we now have a Harris family tree, and it is after a lot of back and forth trying to figure out where do we place this family tree. We have placed this tree on Family Search in a controlled edit tree environment. And so this is as a result of Family Search creating a private family tree option called CET. It was formerly in their lab section. They were kind of beta testing it, that sort of thing. But they have made it part of what you can access. And so I'm going to show you how to access it and then where our tree is. And and if you are a designated representative, we're inviting designated representative family reps to be part of that. So you can contact me and you'll get my contact info at the end. So as I said, Family Search has created a new option for a private tree. We control who edits the tree. But you can allow all Family Search users to see that information. So basically what that means is that everybody on Family Search can see that we as a family organization have a tree. They can't change anything. So it's called controlled edit. Family Search did this as a result of wanting to maximize participation in family history worldwide. There are a lot of areas of the world where it's not a good idea for someone to have a family tree up online for privacy reasons. So the CET is aimed at protecting serious researchers' work, protecting families of famous people as well, and for people like us, an ancestral family association who wants to organize and protect the data or have somewhere where we can have the tree that sort of rules them all in terms of our research and our family's research. So this is just an example of why it's, I think, a great idea. This is Martin Harris's profile. He is my third great grandfather through his wife Caroline Young. This is an example of his family search profile that's locked on the bigger, wider family search tree in which prevents any updates, even if they're authoritative corrections. And with the new full text search uh, uh, full text ability to do a lot of full text search. They call it full text search. That area of the website shows additional land records that he's involved in, and none of those things are linked to his profile. So it makes it really, really difficult to add things, even if they're good things, authoritative, like I said, authoritative corrections to his profile. But on our new section of the website, that's possible. So in the past, when you went to Family Search, you would just you go to there, you enter things into the tree, and it's a wiki type environment. They did have the ability for you to upload what's called a GEDCOM. Now, a GEDCOM, if you're not familiar with that, is a genealogical data communications exchange. So it's a file that allows you to kind of zip up into a suitcase and carry your family tree from one thing to the next. But on Family Search, if you were to upload a GEDCOM, if you made corrections, you'd have to upload another one, and then another one, and another one. But this new tree allows you to one time only upload a GEDCOM, and then you can invite people similar to Ancestry.com's environment if you use that service, where you can invite people to help you edit your tree. In the future, you'll be able to create an online tree and connect that to other online trees as well, and then sync that to third-party genealogy softwares. But right now, you can upload that GEDCOM and have others invited to create that tree. So I want to show you where that's at. Like I said, this used to be just invite only, but they've opened this up. So if you go under the records section and click on genealogies on the Family Search website, you can click onto genealogies, and then way down at the bottom, if you scroll down at the bottom to where it says upload your individual tree, that's where you're able to do the upload of that GEDCOM. You click upload GEDCOM, or you can see that I already have a controlled edit tree there. It's the Nathan and Rhoda Lapham Harris tree. That's what we've named our tree. And that's where I'm able to go to actually look at that tree. So you can see the potential for this for other sides of your family to be able to upload a GEDCOM and create these for families. But we've got this for Nathan and Rhoda Lapham Harris tree. So I want to really quickly tell you how I did this and where our tree comes from. So rather than all of us kind of just typing it in, there is a way. I did it through Family Tree Maker software. There was a way for me to download a section of the bigger, wider Family Search family tree, zip that up into that GEDCOM, and then upload it as a CET. So our beginnings of our Nathan and Rhoda Lapham Harris tree starts with what is in the Family Search wiki tree. So I was able to pull that down and upload it as our tree. So that means there probably are some things that could be corrected, some things that could be changed. When I did that, Family Search did not have the ability for it to carry with it all of the things that have been attached to the tree. So that means that our new tree will give us hints to probably all the records that many of you have attached in the Family Search family tree. But you're able to view the tree, review matches, and like I said, eventually connect to other trees. So the other way, once you're either invited to the Nathan and Rhoda Lapham Harris tree, or you've created your own controlled edit tree, that now resides in the tree area. So if you go to tree and then you can see right here, there's a little caret that shows me the bigger Family Search family tree, or I've got a test tree in there and then the Nathan and Rhoda Lapham Harris tree. And you'll see right over to the very far right of your screen, it says CETs. I'm able to now, because I have two CETs, click on that and I'm able to view those trees. So this is what it looks like. I started it with Preserved Harris and Martha Mowry, but obviously we are concerned with Nathan Harris and Rhoda Lapham. So it's basically Nathan's parents and then all of the descendancy down from Nathan and Rhoda. That's what's currently in this tree. And then this is just a different view of the tree. This shows my line from Nathan to Martin to Solomon, and you can then see how there are certain areas that are not populated in the tree, such as Marietta Rice. Her father and mother are not in the tree because it's simply Nathan and Rhoda on down through my line. Now, this means that it did not pick up anybody who is living in the tree, and so there's work to do to add our living descendants into this controlled edit tree. So again, if you're a designated Harris family representative or would like to be a designated family representative for your line, you can contact me for more information about our controlled edit tree.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to stop sharing.
Any quick questions? Okay. All right. So next, Mark Taylor has a presentation about Dallin Oaks and how he's connected in with all of us. Again, thank you to Mark for his service as our president the last 2.5 years. So, Mark, you ready to go?
So I sent the slide to you, Suzanne. Do you see it? I think I used your BYU address.
There you go.
Okay, so I only want to take a couple of minutes. It's probably not possible to have a lengthy discussion about this, but I wanted to just do a little bit of general. I think the most interesting story about this, you can see that Dallin Oaks male line, the one on top goes his father Lloyd Oaks, his grandfather William Hiram Oaks. Hiram is an important name here. Hiram is the name of William's grandfather. President Oaks' great grandfather is David Martin Oaks, but his father, David Martin Oaks, is the son of Hiram Oaks, making him President Oaks' great great grandfather. Hiram Oaks lived in a community, Springville, Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. In 1832, Emer Harris and Martin Harris went on a mission that took them to this same place, Springville, Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. And so if you look at Harris, at Dallin, the H stands for Harris. His line goes to Stella Harris, his mother, Silas Albert Harris, his grandfather, who he talks about, to Charles Harris. Well, Charles Harris' father is Emer Harris. So that makes Emer Harris Dallin Oaks' great great grandfather. So Martin Harris and Emer Harris went to this area. They taught people, and the Oaks family joined the church. So I thought that was a really interesting tie-in between the two families. So I don't know how much you know about his family. I've gone through the materials available on the family search site for this genealogy. I've got a copy, like most of you probably do, of the Martin Harris book, and there's a lot of interesting information there. One thing I found interesting is that President Oaks, some time ago, prepared a booklet called The 50 Ancestors of Dallin Oaks. And it's been copied as a document or a book at Family Search, so it's available through Family Search. And he tells his version of stories of these ancestors. Stella Harris, she was alive and active in the community in Provo when I was a student there back in the 60s and 70s. My mother got to know her. She was a very well-educated educator herself. The passing of her husband when she was a young mother was very hard on her. And she had a couple of years that really she had a hard time coping with the loss. And President Oaks, in one of his first talks after becoming president of the church, talked about him going to being in his grandfather's house, and his grandfather saying that he would be a father to him. Well, Silas Albert Harris, his grandfather, had a farm in an area that's right between Payson and the next little towns down. I've got the information. One of these days, I want to stop at the Farm Service Office of the federal government in Provo and see if I can get a copy of the map of the farm. I don't know if anybody else has one, but I wanted to get a copy of that. This Harris family, Charles and Silas, when they first got to Utah, they settled in southern Utah, that intermediate area, and then Silas, I think, farmed on that farm for the biggest part of his life. That's about all the time I wanted to take. I just think it's very interesting to get into the materials. The Harris family's been fairly active, and so if you go on to Stella Harris's page on Family Search, there are a lot of pictures there of her career in education. She was a teacher out in the Uinta Valley, and lots of pictures and information about her. And there's quite a bit of information and pictures about the farm that Silas was farming. So I guess that's what I have to say about it. It's an interesting family to follow, and that's what I have.
All right. Thank you. So I became very curious about the Harris family after they left Palmyra and moved to Kirtland. So I spent a considerable time reading and searching and adding more documents and sources and created a presentation that I want to show you now. And this covers the Harrises that moved from Palmyra to Kirtland. Some you may know about, some you may learn a few things that you didn't know. So let me get this going.
The Harrises moved to Kirtland, Ohio in 1831. Following the publication of the Book of Mormon and the establishment of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1830 in New York, Joseph Smith soon declared Kirtland, Ohio, as the gathering place for the new followers. The three oldest sons of Nathan and Rhoda Harris, Emer, Martin, and Preservid, who had joined the church, all determined to make the move to Ohio. After living 40 years in Palmyra, Nathan and Rhoda, now in their 70s, chose to accompany them. Emer Harris. The oldest son, Emer, had lived in Pennsylvania for 15 years and was part owner of a sawmill and lived on his 150-acre farm in Jenningsville. He had divorced his first wife in 1819, and his second wife died in 1825. He and his third wife, Parna, were baptized into the new church in 1830 and soon committed to move to Ohio. Emer's son, Martin Henderson Harris, was just 10 when his parents and 4 siblings made the move to Ohio. He later wrote an account of their journey and experiences there.
In the spring of 1831, we started for Kirtland, Geauga County, Ohio. Traveled about 70 miles by land and took a steamboat at Ithaca, head of the Cayuga Lake. Then about 36 miles through Palmyra, Rochester, and Lockport by the Erie Canal to Buffalo. Then took passage on the schooner Constitution up Lake Erie, intending to land at Fairport, but on account of an unfavorable wind were obliged to pass it and land at Cleveland. Then 25 miles by land to the Morley Farm near Kirtland.
Isaac Morley invited many newcomers to move on to his farm. He practiced all things in common and had built 11 different homes on his farm. Martin Henderson continues.
Lived there until fall, when we moved about 60 miles west into Brownhelm, Lorain County, to the house of Stephen Parsons. Lived there until the spring of 1832, when we moved onto Thorett Parsons' farm. While there, Father started on a mission east and was gone a year. That fall, we moved into the Truman Train House and lived there until the fall of 1833, when we moved to Isaac Parsons' old house on the same farm. I was working for George Evans on November 12th when the stars fell. About Christmas, moved on to a 38-acre farm Father had bought about 7 miles distant in Florence Township by the side of the Vermilion River. In the spring of 1834, cleared up a piece of bottomland and raised a good crop of corn. This year, the fruit was all killed by a late frost. In 1835, raised this year a middling crop of corn, a good crop of potatoes, and had a good crop of apples. That fall, Father went to work on the Kirtland Temple. In the spring of 1836, we gave up the farm and were moved by Moses Daly onto the Foy farm about 3 miles from the town of Kirtland on the Chardon Road land. Rented the farm of 10 acres for 1 year for $30. Summer was cold and wet. Raised poor crops but had plenty of apples. In the spring of 1837, moved on to the place belonging to John Harrott. Provisions scarce and high, raised poor crops this year. In the winter of 1837, we rented that place another summer. Cut the hay and put in the barn for the rent. In the spring, after the crop was in, Father started for Pennsylvania to get the pay for his farm that he had left there. Father returned from Pennsylvania sometime in July with a span of horses and a light wagon, bought another horse and a 2-horse wagon from Uncle Preservid, and started for Missouri. He and his family soon moved to Illinois and eventually to Utah.
Emer's children. Emer's second oldest daughter, Elathan, who had married Northrop Sweet in 1827, also made the move to Kirtland with 3 young children. They later moved to Michigan around 1850. Alvira, Emer's third daughter, married Benjamin Mosier in 1829 in Palmyra, and by the mid-1830s had moved to Ohio to raise their family of 3. Sophronia Harris, Emer's fourth daughter, married John Manchester in 1828, and after living 7 years in Michigan, moved to Ohio by 1836, raising a family of 10. Martin Harris. The second oldest son, Martin, was financially the most successful of all his siblings. He had married his first cousin Lucy and had 4 children by 1830. He is best known for his support of Joseph Smith in the preparation and publication of the Book of Mormon. Joseph Smith asked Martin Harris in February of 1831 to bring all the Books of Mormon in his possession to Kirtland. Within weeks, he left Palmyra with the books, arriving in Painesville, Ohio by steamboat. Beginning. In 1831, hundreds of Latter-day Saints began to pass through Fairport Harbor in Painesville, Ohio, on their way to the Kirtland region, 10 miles to the south. Returning to his Palmyra home, Martin finished the sale of his house on 151 acres and again left for Kirtland the middle of May 1831, accompanied by about 50 other recent converts to the church. However, no one from his immediate family moved with him. Martin and Lucy's 2 younger children remained with their mom in Palmyra. Their eldest daughter, Lucy, had married in 1828 and lived nearby. Martin arrived in Kirtland by the 3rd of June, 1831, when the high priesthood was introduced to the church. About 2 weeks later, Harris traveled with Joseph Smith and others over 800 miles to Missouri. At a conference held there in August, Joseph Smith identified Jackson County as the hub of the church and asked Martin to donate $1,200 for the purchase of land to build a temple. In spring the next year, Martin Harris and his brother Emer left to do missionary work in Pennsylvania and New York, areas familiar to them. They returned a year later in May 1833, having baptized around 100 new members. In the spring of 1834, Joseph Smith organized approximately 230 men, women, and children, known as Zion's Camp, to march to Missouri and help the saints who had been forced out of Jackson County. One account mentions Martin Harris taking his 12-year-old son, George B., with him. Back in Kirtland, the impressive temple was finished and dedicated in March of 1836. For several years, Martin made frequent trips back to Palmyra. His wife Lucy's health continued to deteriorate, and she died in the summer of 1836 at the age of 44, with Martin attending at her death. Later in that same year, Martin, who was 53, married 20-year-old Caroline Young, a niece of Brigham Young. Though Martin had been very generous with his money for the benefit of the church, he declined to participate in the newly formed Kirtland Safety Society. When it failed, so did his relationship with Joseph Smith. In December 1837, Martin was excommunicated from the church. In spite of the troubles, Martin was always forthcoming about the wonder of the early years with Joseph and proclaimed such to anyone who inquired about it. Martin and Caroline continued living in Kirtland, and their family eventually grew to include 7 children, 2 of whom died in their infancy. As the years passed, Caroline became increasingly anxious to join relatives and friends in Utah. But Martin resisted, believing he would not be welcome. In 1856, Caroline chose to leave him, take the children, and travel west to Utah. For another 14 years, Martin involved himself with various offshoot groups of the church. He happily gave tours of the Kirtland Temple to visitors. By age 87, he was living off the charity of friends. Then, in 1870, with a personal invite from Brigham Young and a donated train ticket, Martin traveled to Utah. His arrival in Salt Lake made front-page news. Martin's son, George B., worked as a mariner for 20 years, then came to Kirtland by 1858 and lived with his father next to the temple. George was soon married, but was divorced after 3 years. He then enlisted into the Civil War, but was killed in 1863. Following the death of her mother Lucy, Martin's youngest, Elizabeth, still 17, was engaged to Amos Adams, and needing her father's permission, traveled to Kirtland and married there. The new couple then returned to New York. Preserved Harris. Nathan and Rhoda's third son, Preserved, married Nancy Warren in 1811. The couple lived very near his parents and on portions of the original 600 acres in Palmyra, acquired by Nathan in 1793. His wife Nancy had a close bond with her mother-in-law Rhoda, as they were both raised as members of the Society of Friends, the Quakers. It was Preserved, having heard Joseph Smith obtain the gold plates in October of 1827, who informed his brother Martin of the news. He was also one of Martin's 5 family members permitted to be shown the first 116 pages of the revealed manuscript. Preserved's date of baptism is not known, only that Joseph Smith preached at his home on the way to Ohio in late January 1831. Preserved and his wife Nancy were caring for his aging parents when his family of 9 children relocated to Ohio. Nathan and Rhoda accompanied them. Their oldest daughter Harriet and husband John Sweet and newborn baby also joined the group in their move. By June of 1831, Preserved bought property in Mentor, north of Kirtland. On those 50 acres, they built a log cabin, then a 2-story home. Nathan and Rhoda continued to live with Preserved's family. Within 4 years, Nathan died in November 1835 at the age of 77. Records show Joseph Smith preached at Father Nathan's funeral held at Preservide's home. As there was no official cemetery in the area, Father Nathan was likely buried on that farm. Rhoda lived another 14 years. Her longevity was a blessing to her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, friends, and neighbors. Records show Preservide was a successful farmer, well regarded in the Mentor community. In June 1836, Preservide was charged with not giving enough of his money to the church. He defended himself by saying,
"I have considerable property, have helped the poor some, got my property by hard work. Some that are liberal with others' property do not labor to get much to give to the poor themselves. I may have failed in some things, but have done as I felt before God."
The church leaders chose to formally excommunicate him. Thereafter, Preservide and his family had no more to do with the church. In the year following, he was angered by Joseph Smith forming a non-incorporated anti-bank called the Kirtland Safety Society that became insolvent by August 1837. Many in the community who experienced significant financial loss subsequently left the church. Joseph Smith left Kirtland in January 1838, and loyal members followed him to Missouri. As the years passed in Ohio, Preservide and Brother Martin aligned with several offshoot factions of the church as their religious sentiments remained in concert with many of its core principles. Preservide and Nancy remained in the Mentor area, raising their children who all married and raised their families in or near Mentor for many generations. Lydia Harris. Besides Nathan and Rhoda and their 3 oldest sons moving to Ohio, Lydia, their 7th child, also moved there in the early 1830s. Lydia had married Nathaniel Davenport in 1824 in Palmyra. Her family also made the move to Ohio around 1832. Unfortunately, Lydia died there soon after arriving. Her husband, left with 2 children, then married a local widow in 1833. And so it was. Nathan and Rhoda Harris and 4 of their 8 children moved from New York to Ohio beginning in 1831. The legacy of Nathan and Rhoda and their family of 8 children will be celebrated by the dedication of a new monument placed in the Mentor Cemetery in June of 2026.
Okay. Next, we have our cousin Todd Harris, who's going to tell us about his interesting work with the Book of Mormon. And please tell us what your official job is and tell us what's going on.
Thank you, Randy, and thanks to everybody, and glad to see you all here this afternoon. As Randy mentioned, my name is Todd Harris. As I've said in the chat, I am the 3rd great-grandson of Martin Harris, 4th great-grandson of Nathan and Rhoda. My official title is Senior Linguist in the Church's Translation Department. I have worked there now for almost 39 years in various capacities, working both as a Scripture Translation Project Supervisor, but mostly as a support linguist, wherein I help produce all the material that translators use to translate the Book of Mormon. So again, currently I'm also not only working on these various support materials, specialized training programs and dictionaries and so on, but I also supervise several projects still myself and have supervised a number over the years. So what I wanted to do is just briefly talk about where we are with translations of the Book of Mormon, how many we have, and where we're working currently. So let me see if I can share my screen quickly. Randy, you may have to give me permission.
There you
Is
go.
that is it
Yeah.
showing?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I've often phrased this at work like this, or at least updates like this, as the continuing witness of Martin Harris. As was pointed out in Randy's great video here, Martin was chiefly known as one of the main supporters of Joseph Smith, and in 1830 was called as one of the witnesses, like 1829, as one of the witnesses of the Book of Mormon. And he continued to support Joseph and maintain his testimony of the Book of Mormon until he passed away. And for me, what's interesting is the idea that his witness continues in the fact that the translation of the Book of Mormon continues to proceed. The 19th section of the Doctrine and Covenants is one of the revelations that was given to Martin Harris through Joseph Smith. And verse 29 has always been interesting to me, where where God sort of gives this injunction to Martin Harris: "Thou shalt declare glad tidings, yea, publish it upon the mountains and upon every high place, and among every people that thou shalt be permitted to see." So during his lifetime, Martin Harris did not necessarily see many people, but he continued to proclaim his witness. And since his day, the church has continued to translate the Book of Mormon, and the Book of Mormon goes throughout all the world, or continues to go throughout all the world. And so, in a sense, Martin Harris continues to declare glad tidings, and it is being published upon every mountain and upon all the high places and among many people. So let me just give you an update where we are in January of 2026 of translating the Book of Mormon and moving throughout all the world. So as of this month, there are 115 translations of the Book of Mormon available. That's 94 full books and 21 selections. Some of you may have seen that for a time the church was publishing just a few portions of the Book of Mormon called selections from the Book of Mormon. This started in the late 70s and went to maybe early part of the 90s as a way to translate, to produce copies of the Book of Mormon, or translations of the Book of Mormon quicker. But it stopped after a number of years because we found that we could translate the full book just as fast almost as we did the selections. But those are still around. We're still using them, and we're in the process of upgrading many of them. So in addition to the 115 translations currently printed, there are 10 translations in progress right now. There are 8 new translations that have never been published before in these languages: Burmese from Burma, Kazakh from Kazakhstan, and Maltese, the island of Malta. Those are all scattered around, I guess, Asia and Central, former Soviet republics, as well as Southern Europe. But then we've also been working quite extensively in Africa. And so we've got 5 running there: Chichewa, which is in Malawi; Oromo, which is in Ethiopia; Sesotho, one of the provinces of South Africa; Siswati, also one of the autonomous regions of South Africa; and Luganda, which is in Uganda. And the Luganda translation is one of the current projects that I'm personally involved with and have continued to oversee. Then we're again working on upgrading the selections to full translations, and we're working on 2 of those right now: Bengali, the country of Bangladesh, and Papiamento, which is a language that's spoken on the islands of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao in the Caribbean. And that is another one of the projects that I am personally overseeing right now. So again, for me, it's important, or I guess it's a testimony of the ongoing injunction of Martin Harris to bear glad tidings, that those tidings are continued to be borne. And even though he himself does not necessarily proclaim them himself, every copy of the Book of Mormon that's printed and goes out has his name on the page where we have the witnesses of the Book of Mormon. So whether it's in a language like German, where there at the bottom you can recognize his name, or in a language like Amharic, which is also spoken in Ethiopia, which uses a much different alphabet, there his name continues to his witness continues to proceed throughout the world, and good tidings continue to be published. So I think that's also significant work that the church does, and a continuing important part of the legacy of Martin Harris and the Harris family. So
Thank you. That's fascinating. I do wanted to mention that we've created a Facebook and Instagram page recently to help get the word out. And I wanted to thank some of the members of our group, Aaron and Susan and Tara, who are involved with that and helping to get that going. Also, we have others that are part of the directing of our organization, Jeff Bradshaw, who's Vice President of Technology, and Terry Pace, who's our newsletter editor, and Jan West, who's kind of our general office and helps with history. So finally, we're inviting Brent Belknap to update us on the plans that are underway for this June. So take it away, Brent.
Great. Thank you, Randy. Are you able to allow me to share a screen?
Yeah, it should be on sharing,
Okay.
general sharing. So I think yeah,
Did it come
it's
through? I
coming
think
up.
it's
Yeah,
sharing. There we go.
it's coming
Okay.
up.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm excited to join you in this call. This is the realization of a long-time dream from years ago. Um, and this year, for the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, what's called America's 250th or the Semicentennial celebration, we are uniting, I think, as a family in a way that we have not done for years and years. For those who attended the reunion that we held in 2024, you probably wouldn't remember, but as part of my presentation, I pulled out news articles from reunions that were held going back to the until most recently in the 1950s, when descendants of Emer and Martin were meeting regularly. And so here we are now in the 2020s, and we're meeting again. And I think it's just a great thing. And to have a project that is a fulfillment of a dream, to see us come together at the burial site where Preserved and his wife Nancy Warren are buried, and honor Nathan Harris and Rhoda Lapham and all of the children of Nathan and Rhoda, all of their 8 children, I think is a fantastic thing. For those of you who might have participated on previous calls, we received a very generous donation in July of 2025, shortly after we were able to incorporate our entity and also receive IRS tax exempt status under the Internal Revenue Code, Section 501c3. We are a formal 501c3 nonprofit organization, and with that status, a very generous donation was made to the Harris Family Organization that serves as the seed money for this project, monument project. I'm sharing with you on the screen right now just a letter that went out at the end of last year noting the project, and I'm happy to report to you that we have, in addition to the seed money that we received last year following this letter, we've received a a, a total of 4 donations. How's that? But the donations collectively, and in fact, I just deposited the most recent one yesterday through mobile deposit with our bank account at Wells Fargo. We have received $550. That $550 from 4 donors means that everybody has given some amount north of $100, some more than that, some right at $100. And we are so appreciative. I see on the call here a couple of people whose donations I've received and deposited, and want to thank you personally for making a contribution. I want to get past the money part and talk about the big event, a part that's coming in June. But one last item, if I might mention, is just to make a request, even not a desperation plea. We've gotten a very generous donation, but we want to involve as many members of the family organization, as many descendants of Nathan Rhoda as we can, to feel a part, to have, as you say, skin in the game in this special project in this semi-centennial year, that we were part of something that honored our family heritage. And I don't want to put a quota or a dollar amount for anybody to have to consider. We would be happy with $1. We would be happy with $10. We'd be happy with $500, whatever you're able to contribute. But if I know that I'm speaking to the choir here, including some who have already contributed, if I could encourage everybody here in the call, in the letter that you received, to either mail a check, or until we can get our Venmo account set up. We tried to do that back in December, November. We had some real problems with a phone number, a telephone number glitch associated with the account. But setting that aside, we have a backup, certainly for Venmo. You could send it to me as your agent, as a lawyer, your agent, and then I transfer it. I have access to the Harris Family Organization account. You can pay that way if you'd like, or if there's another way that you feel most comfortable with, just reach out to me and we'll figure out a way to accept your donation. So with that grubby money talk, if I can get past that, I'd like to tell you about what's coming and the exciting stuff that's coming. I hope that you have nothing better to do on Saturday, June 20th, 2026, than to be in Northeast Ohio with all of your Harris cousins. Now, sadly, a letter that both Todd and I sent to President Oaks last month was acknowledged and the invitation declined. His office responded very quickly to say that they were very thrilled by the invitation. They wish us the best of success. But with President Oaks's new assignments as president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he would not be able to attend in person. But, and that's okay, but we have some great plan Bs, one of which is right now it's still tentative, but it's looking increasingly solid as I work with the organizers of an event called Kirtland Heritage Days. We are on their official schedule on Saturday evening, June 20th, 2026, to have a special Harris family meeting inside the Kirtland Temple. Now, for those of you who come through Emer, as do I, you know that not only was Martin, of course, his brother, a caretaker for the Kirtland Temple for a number of years during some of that season when he was disaffected and people were coming through and he was giving tours and clearly had a firm testimony of the experiences that he had there at the Kirtland Temple. His brother Emer helped build some of the window sashes there at the Kirtland Temple. We'll be able to have those pointed out to us. So that's an exciting thing. So let me tell you a little bit about Kirtland Heritage Days so that you know how to maybe arrange your calendar or schedule to participate if at all possible. And if you're not, Plan B and Plan C are to have a live recording of the dedication ceremony in the Mentor Cemetery of the monument dedication and a recording of that live broadcast that would be made available on a Harris Family Organization YouTube channel that we have yet to finalize setting up, so that we would be, and on the website, of course, too, that Randy maintains, so that we have multiple ways for people who aren't able to come in person to still feel a part of a project that hopefully you've made some sort of contribution to if you're able to. So with that, sort of all of that premise. Let me tell you now about Kirtland Heritage Days, what it is and what's coming so you can sort of plan your calendar. I just need to pull up some information here for just a second. Here we go. I'm not going to share my screen, but just so that you know, Kirtland Heritage Days is an event that's now been held for a number of years where members of the local community which at one time was quite divided between people who were Latter-day Saints and those who were not, either disaffected or not Latter-day Saint heritage at all, to sort of come together. And now it is the community unifying event. It is a positive event, a thrilling event, a wonderful event. And it's centered around the strawberry harvest there at Kirtland, Ohio. And as you know, Mentor, where we'll be dedicating the monument on Saturday, June 20th, is just, what is it, Randy, about 9 miles away, I think, just across the freeway. It's very, very close.
Yeah, very close.
Very, very close. So we're coming together at this time for the monument at a community where the Harrises, obviously from Randy's great presentation, have extensive roots and involvement to participate with Kirtland Heritage Days. There will be a presentation by Brad Wilcox, him some of you might know as a former General Young Men's Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ, a musical group from Brazil called Eleni, and possibly the participation of BYU and NFL quarterback Ty Detmer. Those events will mostly be on Friday, and they will be the culmination of some things earlier during the week of a 5K run and some outdoor street markets and things like that in the town of Kirtland. So if you are wanting to come to participate for what's happening as the culmination of the events in Kirtland, Ohio and surrounding area, you'd probably want to be in town by no later than Friday, June 19th. On Saturday, June 20th, there is the Kirtland Heritage 5K Walk and Run, a charity breakfast at the Community of Christ, former Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, an event where they donate food to a local food bank. And then, of course, the Elenia concert that night. And then at 8 p.m., the Harris Family Devotional inside the Kirtland Temple. Now, between the 8 a.m. Kirtland Heritage 5K Fun Walk and Run and the 8 p.m. Harris Family Devotional inside the Kirtland Temple, we have a dedication at exactly 12 o'clock noon in the Mentor City Cemetery, followed by an event with some more details at a location that Randy has arranged for us, has reserved, has booked for us to have a little further family meeting and a joint lunch together. So we will be together as a family on Saturday at the very minimum 3 times, 12 o'clock noon, the event immediately afterwards for a family meeting and to eat, break bread together, and then the 8 p.m. Harris Family Devotional. Now, Heritage Days for those who are Latter-day Saints actually ends the following day for those who want to attend the Kirtland First Ward Sacrament meeting. It's at 9 o'clock a.m. There will also be other scheduled family tours and family organizations with early Latter-day Saint roots in Kirtland that will be present. The Baldwin family, let's see. I think the Morleys were last year. I can't remember now all of the other families that are participating, but the Harrises are a big anchor family that's participating this year. I see I'm out of time. I will just mention one more thing. 2 weeks later, from Saturday, June 20th, is Saturday, July 4th, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. For those of you who are coming from the West, and if your time permits, this might be a good time for you to want to extend any travel plans to participate in any of the great celebration events involving the American Revolution, to visit battle sites with about 5 million other people, fireworks displays in Washington, New York, Boston, what have you, and make this part of a wonderful family heritage event. Our shared citizenship as citizens of the United States of America, and celebration of all of the good things that we have in that regard as well, and make it really a God, family, and country event, if I can put it that way, collectively with Harris family members. So with that, I think, Randy, I'm done unless there are any questions or comments that anyone might have.
Yes, if there are questions or comments, unmute your mic and we'd love to hear from you.
I see that there was one comment that was made, by the way. I think that, Terry, did that come from you? Want to make sure we cover that. Yes, that the DAR local chapter will be at the memorial, and they're putting on, because even though this isn't the actual burial site of Nathan, who fought in the American Revolution, was with General Washington at Valley Forge, they will be placing a plaque on the stone that we will be erecting. And then, Terry, did you want to say anything else about this brick at the Painesville Courthouse?
Yeah, they have a brick for every known revolutionary soldier that has died in that area on the that courthouse. And they didn't know about Nathan Harris dying or being in, part of the Revolutionary War, all that. So they're going to place his name and rank and all that kind of stuff among the bricks, the other bricks with the soldiers from the war.
Wonderful.
I will find out more about that because I think there is a little ceremony that goes with it. And so they're talking about maybe right after the memorial to head over there for that little ceremony. But
So on our Facebook page and hopefully Randy on the website, I help run the Facebook page. We'll try to post information there, and then let's see, Aaron and others who run the email lists. We'll try to get some more information out to you to the extent we have recommendations of possible um, reduced rates for purposes of hotel or motel reservations in the Mentor, Ohio area. Because of Kirtland Days happening at that same time, motel and hotel reservations right around Kirtland are a little tight. But Interstate 8090 heading east out of Cleveland, if you're flying there, the closest airport is Cleveland International Airport. There are all sorts of options for purposes of overnight accommodations, and we'll try to get some further information to you. As the program comes together with the organizers of Kirtland Days, we'll also share with you further information about what that will cost. So we will not be charging anything for this event, but participants in Kirtland Days who want to participate as part of the events, including the fireside, we have been asked to inform you that to offset their costs, there is a charge per person, and we don't yet have that information. I don't have the way to share that with you. I think it's going to be about 45-ish, más o menos $45 a person. And that helps cover their expenses and make their facilities available to other groups, including us. And we would then therefore be paying for the privilege of them hosting us in a way that we otherwise would not have access to. So more information will be coming, maybe most likely on the Facebook page and then by email.
Yeah,
Thanks,
and one
Randy.
more thing, after this cemetery and then the building that we've rented for our luncheon and further presentations, we will drive to a few locations, including the Preserva Harris home site, where the owner has given permission for us to park and walk around, and we'll have a little discussion about things that went on there. So yeah, that's coming up about 5 months from now. Okay, well, thank you to all of you. We had about 30 people that participated today, and our next online will actually be, as Brent said, we will broadcast from the cemetery and the dedication there, and also our program at the building nearby on the 20th. So with that, again, thank you, and look forward to you joining us in June. And again, get the word out, other cousins, other relatives, encourage them to sign up on the website. If you sign up, you will get the newsletter and emails to help remind you about events that are coming up. Any final comments before we close?
Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, you're welcome. So yeah, this is exciting in many ways to be able to do further research and to join in kind of our common relationship as cousins of the Harrises and learn more about this. So good things are going on, and thanks to all that are helping out. And with that, we'll end. I'll stop the recording.